This lady, Carolyn Lachapelle, is the CEO of the Revelstoke Chamber. And first of all, I should say, thank you all for coming. This is exciting, really. It really is. Carolyn was hoping to be here this evening, but life got in the way, and she's going to come at another time. But tonight we're going to listen to her on, oh gosh, here we go. Zoom, thank you. I had Teams in my mind, sorry. So she's going to be sharing with us the best practices and opportunities for growth. And we need growth. She will be here to answer your questions and take in your feedback. We're going to put this just like a fireside chat meeting, so it's nothing formal. If you have questions, she'll be there to answer. The Revelstoke and the Valemount Chamber are working together on a provincial project that she's going to be unveiling at this meeting. And it's exciting, it really is. She has decades of experience in executive management, tourism, and volunteering. And we're excited to show our business community the power of chamber networking and how it can help us here as a chamber, that we're not out in the backwoods. Nobody knows who we are or why we are. This is where the networking comes in, and that's where Carolyn's going to be helping us. And so I'm just going to talk about the questions that we've come up with that Carolyn will be addressing. But if you have other questions, please let us know. The first one, why join the chamber? What can the chamber do for you? And we, as those that have been here, we've always found in the past that we really have never had a clear definition of what the chamber can do for a business. And what are those benefits that the members can receive? And Carolyn and I have talked, and Tammy have talked recently, and Carolyn's going to explain how we can apply for different funding that we had no idea was out there as to how to benefit the chamber, how to benefit the members, what we can do to make sure the chamber is recognized and we can grow. So that's, I'm just going to turn that right over to Carolyn, and you're on. Nice to see you. Thank you.
I don't know who I'm talking to. Who's talking right now?
That was Christine.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't introduce myself, sorry.
I just see your face and a lovely gentleman in the background doing something with cards or pamphlets. I like it. Thank you very much for having me. I deeply apologize that I wasn't able to make it in person. I'm unfortunately suffering from an extremely high autoimmune flare-up right now. And so you're going to get a very interrupted version of me. And so if I pause to think about what I'm going to say, just know that that's what's happening. I like to be very transparent with capacity, because I think that especially when you're managing or volunteering in a nonprofit world, being transparent about capacity is probably the most important tool that you could have in your toolkit. It goes across as well as being a business owner or managing a business. Transparency with capacity is really the foundation of how you do your every single day operations. And I think a lot of people in the room will probably resonate with that. There's a lot of things that we want to be able to do, but we just simply feel like we're stuck and inundated and we don't know where to start. For me, the way that I explain chambers of commerce is kind of the following. So my first experience with the Chamber of Commerce was when I was 21 years old. I started my first company through the self-employment program that you can go through when you're on unemployment insurance with Work BC and Community Futures. And I started my first business when I was 21 and went to the Chilliwack Chamber of Commerce, where I utilized their services for networking and meeting other people. Even though Chilliwack at the time was quite a bit smaller, it was interesting to see, you know, how many new people were at these events on a regular basis. I also have a background, just to back it up really quickly, I know Valemount extremely well. I used to work at Mike Wigley's for many, many years, year round. I started the staff events committee is what it was called back in the day at Mike Wigley's, where we would bring our staff to Valemount, get them out of Mike Wigley's. We started a program where we had benefits for our staff, where they would get discounts in Valemount and Jasper. They would utilize these perks to be able to get out of Blue River, as one would totally understand. That is a necessity when you live in Blue River. You must escape Blue River. And so a lot of the things that I was doing to support my staff, you know, 84 staff in my department that I was managing, actually translated quite well into what I do at the chamber now, which is those perks for the supports that your group that you're taking care of needs. And so chambers of commerce are a hub of connection. We are not supposed to be the ones who do everything. We are supposed to be a space where if someone is looking for the information, they can find it through us. And I think that's a really important part of looking at your chamber of commerce, or managing a chamber of commerce, or being on a board of a chamber of commerce, is to understand that you don't have to do all the projects. You have some phenomenal partners in Valemount. You have Tourism Valemount. You have a Community Futures in the area. I met your CAO of your city, whose name completely escapes me at this time, but she was a lovely human being at the Resort Communities meeting. So you seem to have some people in your corner, and what you can do is you can take that information and put it either on your member portal or on your website, and just start slowly gathering some supports. And so what we do at the Revelstoke Chamber is we really focus on being that hub of connection. How can we ensure that when we have a tidbit of information that comes forward, whether it's funding opportunities, mental health supports, it can be, you know, top 10 things that you can do with ChatGPT, all of these little pieces of information, what goes in the member portal, and then what goes on our website, so that we can also celebrate the other organizations in our community that are doing phenomenal work. So hub of connection is a really key sentence that I would love for you to leave with. You're not supposed to do everything, but you definitely should be sharing what's available. Now, chambers of commerce, the greatest thing about a chamber of commerce is that we don't represent a single sector. So we are not a tourism body. We do not represent trades. We do not represent professional services. We don't represent accountants. We are not representing workforce specifically. We represent everyone. So we are the voice of the collective voice of businesses. Oftentimes in a resort community like Valemount, Revelstoke, Whistler, Invermere, you can get sidetracked by the fact that your bread and butter is tourism. And it's definitely a large part of what we do. It's a part of our ecosystem. But what about all the other businesses that don't fit into that sphere? And that's where the chamber can mold itself inside of what you need at this time right now, so that you have sustainable growth and you understand what it is that your community needs. And that would be economic development work. It doesn't matter if you have an economic development body in your community. Chambers of Commerce will always do economic development work. This is a great partnership that you can do along with your city and other organizations in your community. I would highly suggest that if you haven't had a robust business retention and expansion survey in the last 5 years, that you go after some funding for that. And I can talk to you about kind of what that looks like, but I just wanted to pull in the economic development portion. So one of the things that we started doing at the Revelstoke Chamber, and I have to tell you, when I came on, I had an executive director previous to my CEO role who was there in the pandemic. She was drinking from a fire hose. It was chaos, and I inherited a lot of empty file folders and a lot of things that were in her mind, and a lot of turnover in the board and frustration. And so if you feel like you don't have anything, you're not alone, okay? So please know that. Policy and advocacy is another really important part of being a Chamber of Commerce. So because we get our funding from a plethora of different streams, we're able to kind of navigate a lot of conditions that other organizations cannot. Community Futures, funded by the government. Torgerson Valemount, funded by the government. They cannot do advocacy and policy pushes like a Chamber of Commerce does. The Chamber, in the way that I describe it, which might be slightly inappropriate, but I'm very transparent, is kind of the punk rock cousin of the city. So the city is definitely our cousin. We've been hanging out with them for a long time, but we also turn around and go, hey, guess what? I really don't like how you're doing that. How can we help you help us? And then therefore helping our members. And so policy and advocacy is a great sphere where a community can kind of support the chamber to be able to be the voice of businesses through data, through being in these different conversations with your allies like myself, providing business resources we touched on, and then business benefits. So there's a plethora of discounts for businesses that you probably don't know about at this point that exist with the BC Chamber of Commerce, Canadian Chamber of Commerce, other chamber partners like myself that will share best practices. Some really great things have come forward in the chamber network in the last 2 years that I've been on that have been really changing the way that we communicate with each other. So we have all of these small rural communities. Most of British Columbia and the entire country is rural. You have these large metropolitan areas that seem to always get all the funding and all the attention and everyone's talking to them, and then like 90% of the rest of the country is rural, even though the federal government considers rural to be population under 150,000 people. Like, how's that rural? Doesn't matter. So we had all of these chambers that were kind of drowning right across the country, and our biggest ally in terms of non-dues revenue, the Chamber's plan, put their money where their mouth is, and they actually now fully fund access for chambers to be able to participate in the Canadian Chamber Executives of Canada, and for us in BC it'll be the Chambers of Commerce Executives of BC. Chambers of Commerce Executives of Canada, Chambers of Commerce Executives of BC. And this is a gigantic resource library where all the chambers in the nation are putting all of their documents whenever they have time, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you're looking to gain information on how to do a business retention and expansion report, it's in there. The chambers do not compete with each other, and we share all of that information. If you're looking to support your nonprofits in your community and you want to give them templates for bylaws, policies, fundraising efforts, all of those things are in that library. So this has become a really big tool for us to be able to be faster, better, stronger, and then share those tools with our members as well. And for a location like yourself where you don't currently have an executive director, this is a game changer, and that access is really important. And so in bringing everything together that I just said, Chambers of Commerce are a hub of connection. We do economic development, policy and advocacy, business resources, and benefits. And benefits that can include events, that can include whatever that looks like for your specific location. The chamber network is extremely strong. I would highly suggest plugging into it. And I think this is how this conversation started. So the chamber network, we have the resort communities, chambers that are talking, and we are going, hey, where's Valemount? hey, where's the Soyuz chamber? Hey, we're missing these 2 key chambers in our resort communities. And we call them and they're like, hey, I'm not doing well. I need help, and our business community needs these supports. And so we rally together to help communities like you. I have more resources than you do. Whistler has more resources than you do. We help one another. So we kind of are sharing capacity when it comes to the policy and advocacy stuff. Also sharing resources and quite a bit of information like that. And so I would say that the chamber network is a really powerful tool that can help your businesses in your community. So that's kind of the 4 core bullet points: ECDEV, policy, business resources, and benefits that we look at. And then I'll just pause and see if there's any questions from there. And I'm really, really proud of all of you for being here today. It's been a long journey. I've been talking to Christine and Tammy and potentially someone else at some point as well on trying to see how we could support the Valemount Chamber and therefore supporting the business community. And I'm so proud that you've showed up today to show your interest in pushing these initiatives forward and having this type of support. Just because you've done it that way or you tried it before and it hasn't worked, it's a completely different landscape in 2025. And I feel that you couldn't be restarting your chamber or reinvigorating your chamber in a better ecosystem at this point. I think that for me, the next thing that I would like to see is for you to have a board that's formed, and I'm happy, and the rest of my friends in the resort communities are happy to support you. We can provide you with sort of job descriptions. We're happy to tag team things and come on to your board meetings if you'd like for a little 15-minute chat with a subject that you would like to see or that you need support with at the beginning of your meetings. And you can let us know ahead of time, and we can bring some chamber specific information for you. I did reach out to Paul at the Jasper Chamber, and he could not make it tonight, but he was extremely excited to hear that this is happening. He's also underwater. I'm sure you know why. But he said, I'm very happy to reach out to Valemount and work with them and share information as much as possible. Another thing that I'd like to point out again is that chambers of commerce are not in competition with each other. We do not cross over lines. We are usually in our own geographical area. So anyone who does business in Valemount or through Valemount should be a chamber member with you. So if they have a business in Calgary but they're building in Valemount, go and grab them, chamber member. You're with us. Let us support your workforce and let us support you. And so really hear these words, okay? There's no competition in the chamber world. Rob and duplicate everything everyone's doing. Just copy it. It's totally fine. All we do in the chamber network is rob and duplicate each other. We're just stealing each other's stuff. I saw Whistler, Columbia Valley, Salmon Arm did some really cool workforce hub. I was like, I'm ripping that off, went and got some funding for it. This is fantastic. This is gonna be great for my community. Hired a graphic designer. It'll launch by the end of the summer. It's okay. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to have your own we need to think about something innovative. Yes, of course you have to think about innovation, but please rob and duplicate the things that your community needs from other chambers. We will be very, very happy to help you with anything that you need, and that's a national saying. At conferences we always say R&D, and it's rob and duplicate. It takes a lot of pressure off when you just steal things from your besties. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Okay, happy to help.
All right. Okay, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Shannon Stange is with Northern Innovation. And I'm not going to go any further into his work. I'll let him explain all that, what it's all about. And the exciting part is he's based, he lives in Fort St. John, his base is Prince George, and it's the northern and the Rockies, northern Rockies, and they've just added us, Valemount, to his list of places to go and people to see. So this is a new thing for him today here, so I just like to let Shannon explain who he is and what he does and what he can do to help us.
Thanks so much, Christine.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, you know, to sort of follow on Caroline's encouragement for us to be very descriptive so that people get a broad sense of who we are. I actually represent about 30 communities and cities throughout northern BC and 8 First Nations. Northern Innovation Network is a tech accelerator, which means that we're a nonprofit government-funded organization that is the primary vehicle through which various levels of government execute their programs and deliver their programs to the public. And so, for example, Shona, she's with Community Futures, and we work side by side with Community Futures. They're a business accelerator, we're a tech accelerator. The only difference is we have a focus on technology. So it's a very, like, if you want to think about what we do, we interface, we're that sort of interface between government funding, government programs, and the business community. And so, yes, I'm based out of Fort St. John, and if you can believe it, like Toad River up by the Yukon border, Tumbler Ridge, Mackenzie, Fort Macleod, Valemount, McBride, and everything north, including Tumbler Ridge, you know, that's where I go. And so my vehicles get a lot of mileage, and I sleep in a lot of hotels. But to give you an idea of what we do, okay, so what does a tech accelerator do? A tech accelerator primarily works with entrepreneurs at various levels of their business startup. And so it may be an idea in the back of their brain, it may be, I'm thinking about bringing this technology into the country, or they may say, I have an innovation that I have in my mind, I want to patent it, I want to get it out into the market. And we take them from that stage all the way up through, and so we'll work with them from that stage or come into their business with them at any stage along the journey, even all the way up to an IPO. And so it's a very broad spectrum. So we have some companies that are like just it's me and my dog and I'm just, you know, working away in my kitchen, to companies that have hundreds of employees. And so we work with those organizations. What we do is we come alongside in various ways. So we have programs where we mentor and we work with the CEOs, with the innovators, with the founders. We deliver programs for people who have lost their jobs and need training on how to actually start their business, and we interface them at each one of those levels with different types of fundings. So we work with NDIT, with PacificCan, with IRAP, with all, in other words, each one of those is specific to a very certain type of business, quite often, and a certain stage of business. And some of those funders have millions of dollars of grants to offer a business, but quite often what needs to happen is, and this, I'm leading up to something because we've introduced something new this year, because quite often for us to get that government funding unlocked for some of the larger entrepreneurs who have businesses that need that $1 million or $2 million in funding, they have to have private equity invested in their business already. And quite often they've tapped out their credit cards, they've tapped out mom and dad, they've borrowed money from everyone they know, and it's not enough to get them to that stage where they need to have maybe $100,000 or $200,000 of investment in their business before then the government says, okay, we have a $5 million grant, we have a $5 million loan, we have this, we have that. And those funds are available, but quite often that private equity has to be in place first. So what we did, and we have funding for this year and the next couple of years from Innovate BC, PacificCan, and Northern Development Initiative Trust to run what's called the Northern Angels Summit. And I'm going to pass this around and just ask you to take that and throw it around the room, and so everyone takes home, and take extra copies if you want to. Now, we're already halfway through this. Who here has seen Dragon's Den or Shark Tank? Okay, we're doing something similar to that without all the theatrics and without Kevin O'Leary. What we're doing is we are bringing together, and so let me explain it this way. The problem in the northern communities is that we often have an ideological difference between the innovations that are brought forward by our entrepreneurs and the funders in Vancouver who have the funds. And so, like I'm in Fort St. John, quite often we have guys who come up with oil wellhead technology innovations. They have ideas for how to bring drone technology into agriculture. They have all sorts of things that they know how to do in our area. But you go to the funding groups down in Vancouver, and quite often, they're looking for the next Facebook. And so those companies come back into our regions, and then they say, couldn't get it out of the funding groups in Vancouver, and then they go over to Calgary, where the ideology is the same, and they say, we understand oil and gas, we understand forestry, we understand mining. Yes, we will fund that. And then what happens with those businesses often, especially from Fort St. John, is they end up moving to Grand Prairie. And so in order to prevent that and to create an economy around investing in the north, by the north, with northern money, for northern ideas, we've created this. And what this is it's a 10-week pitch contest that's also combined with a training program for both the entrepreneurs and the investors. And so what we are doing is we're only offering a $100,000 investment into the winning idea. Next year, that amount could be up to $250,000. And the next year after that, it could be $500,000. And it's a real competition where these innovators, they come to us, they go through a bit of training, but then they have to pitch to investors. Now, the investors are business owners from the community. And so we have, in this round that we're halfway through right now, we started out with 24 founders who brought their idea to the table, and they began pitching their idea, and they were pitching it to 20 angel investors, each one of them from our communities. And so, for example, up in my region, out of the 24, I had 9 innovators who brought their projects to the table and said, hey, here's my pitch. And I had 7 angel investors who brought their money, so that's where the money comes from. The $100,000 doesn't come from us, it comes from the investors in our community. And so they're putting their money into these businesses that are pitching their idea. So I just want to introduce that to you because here's what this is. This is the bridge to then creating that economy around investing in those businesses so we can unlock larger amounts of government capital. You get it? Okay, so we're doing that this year. The quarterfinals have already we've narrowed it down to 12 companies that are in the finalists, and the semifinals will be at the beginning of September, and then the finals, the grand finale, the last 6 will be on September 25th in the Civic Auditorium in Prince George. It's a ticketed event. I encourage you to buy tickets. Probably in a week, I'll have the order form up online on our website at northernangelsummit.ca. So, why do we do this? We do this so that we can create a pipeline of people being identified as innovators and investors in the region. And so that brings us to the next program, which is the Venture Accelerator program. This is a program where people like yourself could say, hey, I have a business idea. I want to get some mentoring. And we have, because we're government funded, right? We're not talking that you have to pay us $800 to $1,000 a month for our mentorship and training. It's government subsidized, so it's based on your revenue. So if you're pre-revenue, it's like $50 a month. And you're getting access to people like myself and other key innovators. Myself, I've been an entrepreneur down in Vancouver for over 30 years before I decided to go back up to the north. I was born up in Fort Nelson. Had to go up and buy the family home off my dad in Fort St. John so he would move out. And in the process, fell in love with the north and moved up from Vancouver. So I left behind a career of entrepreneurship in Vancouver, and I'm bringing all that expertise up to the communities up in the north. And we have a lot of other people like myself who have specific expertise in various types of industries that we would then partner the people who are going through the Venture Accelerator program in order for them to get the type of mentorship that they need. Now, there's a training program, there's mentorship. More importantly, what happens through this is that we get into your business, we get to understand where your real needs are, and then because we have a wide network of relationships and sort of front of the line cues that we can put people into, because we know that they're the right fit for a certain government funding, we then have the ability to bring you or your business together with the right people who have the money in the government at various levels of government in order to say, this should be happening, make it happen, right? And we walk a lot of our clients through the application processes. So, you know, sometimes those grants, you start filling it out, you may just say the wrong things and that disqualifies you. And so we'll go through it with you and say, yeah, change this, change that. And quite often what happens is the people that we help get the money. More importantly, we connect them with key people in industry who just want to help them. And sometimes all you need is good advice. No monetary value involved in it, but the right advice at the right time makes sure that your business succeeds. So that's the Venture Accelerator program. Now, you have your business going, and you have that idea, and you say, I am so excited, right? So we have the next program here, which is Protect Your Intellectual Property. And so we have an entire training program where we walk people through. I think that the government program that this is based on used to have even up to like $50,000 in legal grants that would actually pay for your intellectual property. I think that that has ended now because it's at the tail end of this program. So these programs come and go, right? And so right now I think that this one is being phased out as far as the certain aspects of it, but the training program for how to actually go through and take your idea, protect it intellectually, patent your technology, or protect technology ideas that you're bringing into the country. So all of that, that's the Accelerate IP program. There's another program that we don't have a brochure for yet, which is coming on board very soon. It's a partnership with another accelerator down in the Okanagan. And the idea is fractional CEOs, fractional CFOs. Do you understand what I mean by fractional? It means that instead of you having to hire someone full-time to run your business, you can share a CEO with a number of other companies as a startup. So I don't have anything more to tell you about that because it's just a brand new program, it's just getting off the ground, but those are some of the things that are coming down the pipe. The other thing is, because the Northern Angel, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit, the Northern Angel Summit, we have the ability to let you take your business and actually promote your business through the media exposure that we provide through our events. And so if you are interested in sponsorship, we have sponsorship opportunities that gets your name out through an entire region. Depends on the type of business that you're running, but some of you may have businesses that you want to promote. So go ahead and take that. I've got lots of them at the back if you want one. Now here's the one that I am super excited about. Now, we just finished talking with the Forestry Ministry. We've had a change of government, right? Which means that we've had to change of minister, which means that this program that I'm about to talk about started with has changed dramatically because of the change of leadership. Build Your Own Future, and I'll pass this around, was originally designed as a mill closure retraining program for anyone who wanted to start a business because they lost their job because the Canfor mill that they worked for shut down, or whichever other mill that they were part of. But it was a very small pool, right? It had to be, you had to have been an employee at the mill, and you had to have lost your job, and then you got a $5,000 grant by going through a bit of training And once you finished the training, you got half of the grant. And then when you got your business license after the other stages that you needed to go through, you got the other $2,500. And so it's a $5,000 grant of money to start your own business, but it was only very restrictive. We're in the middle of an economic war, right? Unfortunately, we've got a couple of world leaders who are fighting with each other, and what's happened? We've had huge impacts with tariffs. So this is the exciting news that is just, we haven't even changed our literature yet. But this program is now available to anyone who has lost their job because of a tariff war situation. And we are normally we would be running this program once a month. Starting as soon as we can get people into the program, we're going to be running it weekly if we need to. Because we want to get at least 400 people who have business ideas launched in our region so that they can begin creating employment for themselves by creating business. Now, the reason why that is so important, and this comes back to what is the role, what's the difference between Shona and myself, right? Community Futures, you want to start a business in the general population, it's restaurants, shoe stores, things like that, or many other types of things. The reason why we're a tech accelerator is because quite often the driver of an economy in a region is the innovation that takes place. If you have innovative ideas coming to market, that means it's creating something new in the region. It's not coming in to compete against another restaurant. You're coming in to bring in a brand new technology, a brand new idea. Quite often it's attracting people from other industries into your region. And now all of a sudden you have this little piece of technology or an innovation or an idea that is now blossoming and creating something that never existed in your community before. That's the reason why innovation is the key driver. Statistically, you take a look at it, innovative companies, the absence of an innovative company or the plethora of innovative companies is the key marker of the life of a community. And so our goal is to help communities that we serve identify the ideas and nurture those ideas so that those innovative ideas can come to the forefront, get nurtured, get established, and stay in our communities so that then those ideas become the reason why we need more restaurants, why we need more shopping, why we need more tourism, why we, all of those other things, they spin out of that innovative core. I'm grateful that I had an opportunity to tell you guys what we do.
And if you want to talk to Shannon, you've got his card and everything, you can contact him.
And I've got a bunch of notepads back there and anything you want, I've got tons of it. So just come and grab.
Perfect. Well, I'd just like to thank you all for coming. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your friendly faces again at the next meeting. That we haven't determined, do we?
No, not yet.
Okay.
A little bit of work to do.
We will send out a memo to everyone that's here as to when our next meeting is going to be, and please be thinking about what Carolyn mentioned about becoming a director, not just a member, but becoming a director in the Chamber of Commerce, and therefore going out and attracting other people to come in and be part of the chamber. And let's see it build so we can help our businesses here in Valley. That's what we need to be able to say to people. Hey, we're like Chilliwack always had that big sign out front. Chilliwack's open for business, talk to the mayor. So let's give the mayor something to do. Okay, be in touch.
Well, we're here outside of the Village of Valemount office, municipal office, and the visitor center, Valemount Visitor Center, with Christine and Tammy from the Valemount Area Chamber of Commerce. Ladies, what were we doing here tonight?
Well, we have this vision of revitalizing, relaunching the Chamber of Commerce here in Valemount. It's been a number of years. We got tangled up with COVID and everything else, and people were, the economy was kind of dropping, so we didn't have a lot to do. So tonight we have been seeing a resurrection, I would say, of the business community in Valemount, and we want to be able to help everyone to see what could happen if we have a vibrant chamber and how we can move things along, how we could attract other businesses to come to Valemount, whether it's tourism or selling snow to the Eskimos. I don't know. Just whatever that happens to look like, we'd like to increase and grow our community.
And Tammy, what were the goals for tonight? What did you hope to get out of this meeting?
Well, just kind of like Chris said, just bring the community together and let them know that we do definitely want to start the chamber again. We had a little bit of a slump, and that's all behind us now. So we're ready to take on the challenge, and we've got a huge supporter from the Revelstoke Chamber of Commerce, and she's going to help guide us through the process to get us up and running again.
That's great. And so there was about, I think, around 12 or 15 people, businesses here.
There was 15 people here tonight. I'd said 12 initially, and then I had to, Tammy recounted. But we also had Shannon Stange from Northern Innovation, and he spoke about helping people with how to look at getting financial help with your business and growing your business that way. So that was kind of exciting too. That I think, it's sort of just built on what the CEO from Revelstoke said about getting an active chamber, getting a board together, getting people interested, and then here we are.
Okay, and Tammy, what will be the next steps?
Well, next step is going to be, I think we're going to be just out searching for new board members, because we can't start anything until we get a minimum amount. So we're going to work on that. We already have a few people that are interested, so I don't think it'll take very long. And then we'll probably plan our first AGM.
Okay, and for local businesses that are interested, what should they do at this point?
Just wait to hear from us.
They can contact us, possibly drop into Tammy's office and Remax and leave a message. Leave some contact information. Huh? Royal LePage. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No worries.
Royal LePage. And just to leave a message, leave some contact information, and we will be getting a hold of people through email or put a Facebook plant out there and stuff like that. So that's our plan.
Great. Well, thank you very much for hosting this, and hopefully get things going on a good track again real soon.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Michael.